Republic of Avalon Radio. It's 0 hours, Avalon Standard Time. In the summer we'll go walking way down to the river, down the Curra Road. Past the blue sky we'll walk under, listen to the humming bees, and on we'll go. We won't worry about the traffic, worry about the radio, worry about the phone. In the summer we'll go walking way down to the river, down the Curra Road. Past the cattle at their grazing, through the woods of hazel, holly, birch, and oak. Past the bluebird on the gatepost, singing to the bluebell, sunlight is their host. We won't worry about the winter, worry about it raining, worry about the snow. In the summer we'll go laughing way down to the river, down the dusty road. There is music in the river, listen to it dancing underneath the bridge. And the wind is barely breathing words unto the willow branches overhead. We won't worry about the government, worry about the video, worry about the hay. In the summer we'll go walking hand in hand together, down the dusty way.
Okay, here we are in Millertown, Newfoundland, central Newfoundland, on Red Indian Lake. This is in the center of Newfoundland, and the lake, it's a huge, huge lake. It's about 50 miles long, I think.
46, yeah.
46 miles long. And I'm here right now today with Teresa Greene, and she is the president of the Red Indian Lake Heritage Society. And she's going to tell us a little bit about the history of Red Indian Lake in the area and the fascinating things that happened here a long, long time ago. So, hello.
Hi. Well, mostly I'd like to talk firstly about the Beothuk. The origin of the Beothuk hasn't really been firmly established, but it's believed that they are a distant relative of the Algonquin, and that they came to Newfoundland and Labrador across the 18-kilometre wide Strait of Belle Isle. Beothuk living sites and burial grounds are abundant in Newfoundland, and it is believed that the Beothuk inhabited the region for close to 2,000 years.
Wow.
The Beothuk were one of the first native groups to settle in Newfoundland, mainly inhabiting the central part of the province along the coast of the Exploits River, where they used the waterway to transport in boats as they were a migratory people and travelled seasonally along the Exploits River, moving out into the coast in spring and summer and inland to the interior, which we're here now, in the fall and winter. So the actual main events that happened to the Beothuk were that in 1811, which is a story that a lot of people know, is Lieutenant David Buchan travelled up the Exploits River, and their mission was to find a Beothuk settlement. They eventually met a group of Beothuks, and Buchan left 2 of his men, Marines, with the Beothuks, and he returned to his camp to get gifts to bring back to them. The Beothuks panicked in Buchan's absence and killed 2 Marines near Indian Point. And a young Beothuk woman named Demasduit in 1819, she was captured by John Peyton, who was here at Red Indian Lake on the ice. And she was taken to St. John's, where she lived for about a year. While in captivity, her name was changed to Mary March. And then in 1820, Captain Buchan was attempting to return Mary March to her people, but she was sick with tuberculosis and died on the trip. So that's kind of a sad story.
Very sad story, yeah.
Another expedition led by John Peyton led to the death of the Beothuk chief Nonobaswit. Now, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly because my Beothuk is not that good. And the capture of Demasduit.
Wow.
Years later, another expedition led to the subsequent capture of a young Beothuk woman named Shannon Dithit in 1828. She was presumed to be the last of her kind, and when she died in 1829 from what was called pulmonary consumption, which is another name for tuberculosis, then the whole race was presumed to be extinct.
Wow. So it was tuberculosis that killed them?
Yeah.
Killed them off? Wow.
Yeah.
So, and she was the last one?
Shannon Dithit was,
in
yeah.
1829.
And she was amazing because she lived in St. John's with the Peytons for a while, and she did a lot of drawings because they couldn't speak to her, couldn't understand her.
Right.
But she did a lot of drawings for them, so to help them understand. So that's why we know some of the information about the area. We know about the killing of the Marines because she had been there, and it was, wasn't part of the capture, but she drew pictures of them being killed on the ice. She also drew things about their lifestyle, their homes, the kind of utensils they used, all that kind of thing.
Wow.
So she passed on a lot of information for us.
Imagine what that must have been like for her, being the
Yes.
last of her people.
Must have been,
Yeah.
yes. And to realise that she probably was, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and they were just all
It's
gone.
incredible.
Yeah.
So, I guess they obviously had a good life here.
Yes.
This is such a beautiful place.
Yes.
And
we have here, if you come to visit us here in Millitown, we do have reconstructions of summer Mamatique and a winter Mamatique, and we also have a smokehouse that you can visit. They've been here about 30 years, but the condition of them is pretty good. Probably need a little bit of patching up, but they're doing good.
That's really good. Actually, they look a lot like a teepee.
Yes,
and they're
they
built
do.
the same way, but they're built with birch
bark and moss.
Right.
Yeah.
And they used, I think for the strings, they would use the caribou hide to make the string to tie the things together.
Like make it from they do the tendons, I think it was. They dried out the tendons.
And they had, each one has a little fire pit in the middle.
Yeah.
And a hole in the top of the teepee for the smoke to go up.
That's right,
and
so they wouldn't get smoked out.
Yeah, exactly.
And the ground banks up away from the fire, so this is where they would lie.
Right, with their feet to the fire, wasn't it?
I think that was the way they went. Yes, that seems to be. Yeah.
Wow, so they used to come here in the winter.
That's right.
And I guess they would fish. They could still fish here on
They-
the ice. when
They
the
could, yeah, they
lake
would
froze
ice
over?
fish. They would get the caribou. They would hunt
Oh, right,
caribou
yeah,
and
yeah.
beaver and otter and the ducks,
Right.
all that kind of, the small
Yeah.
animals and the larger,
Mm-hmm.
and
Well,
get their winter's meat,
yeah.
and then they would go back
And
down.
smoke it and bring it with them, I
Yes.
guess, too.
Yeah,
Yeah. Well, this is known as the wilderness capital of Newfoundland. So
that's right.
I guess they were pretty smart. To know
Absolutely.
exactly.
They knew the
where
route to
go.
come.
Yeah. 'Cause- And there's so many caribou and moose. Well, moose I guess weren't
Moose,
at that
no,
time,
they
but
weren't.
caribou.
Yeah.
Because I remember Mom and Dad telling me when the caribou would run over near Buckins, there would be
Yeah.
hundreds of them.
Oh
In
yes.
the fall, they would just be, I don't know what, they were migrating, I guess.
That's right. They move.
Yeah.
You can always tell when the caribou are on the move. You can have to take more time to go to Buckham's because you don't know how many you're going to meet.
Well, we saw two yesterday
Yeah,
on the way to
but-
Buckins. Yeah, just
Excellent.
little ones on the side of the road.
Yeah.
Just eating grass.
Yeah, they like the little alders when they're just starting to grow.
Right.
You take the tops off them.
There's another interesting thing about the Beothuk. They used to call them, well, the reason they called them Red Indians was...
Oh,
can
it's
you
because of
explain
the
that?
ochre, right? They put ochre. Well, there's a couple of places here in central Newfoundland where you can get the ochre, and it's a red kind of soil.
Mhm.
I suppose it's a rock, really. But anyway, they got this ochre and they crushed it down, and they would paint their bodies with it.
Mhm.
And I think it was to keep the flies off of them, but I'm not 100% sure. And maybe something to do with the
Yeah.
sun too. But anyway,
Right, we should have some here now, actually.
I think so, because the flies are
flies
coming
buzzing
around
around.
now. Yeah, and and a lot of their tools are also, they tend to put
Yeah,
ochre on.
yeah.
So.
I tried some on my fingers. We went into the interpretation center and I
Yeah.
put some on it, and it really stains your hand
It does.
very quickly.
Yes. Yeah.
So you can imagine if you applied that
All over your
regularly
body,
every
yeah.
day, you would just turn red.
Yeah.
You know, you would
So
after
that's
a while.
probably why they got the name of Red Indians. Yeah.
exactly.
Mm.
It's such a neat thing, and I guess people thought that was their skin color, but
Yeah.
obviously
Because
not.
this is why it's called Red Indian Lake. But before that, it was called Grand Lake.
Mhm.
I think they
Oh,
called it
okay.
Grand Lake, the Beothuk,
Did they?
because it was so big.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Mm.
Wow.
In their
So-
own.
Yeah. So I guess
In
when
their own
people
words.
Yeah. I guess when people first saw them, they must have thought they were, so different as well because of their skin color and
That's
the way
right.
they obviously European people seeing strange people dressed differently
Yes.
and
They
know.
dressed in the skins
Yeah.
of the caribou, and with the red colouring. I mean, it must have been. And also, the Beothuk led the kind of lifestyle that they shared everything. So,
Mhm.
I mean, if they had a meat store there, and another tribe came through, and they could borrow some of their meat, and
Wow.
and they'd take from theirs, and
Mhm.
they were very caring, sharing kind of people, apparently.
yeah.
And so when they did go down to the shore and found fishermen's stores, they would help themselves because that was their way. And
Oh, okay.
so I think now the fishermen thought they were stealing, of course,
yeah.
and would get upset, and
Uh-huh.
that's what caused a lot of the
Imagine.
shooting. And
Imagine.
mm,
God, that's really incredible.
yes,
And I was reading in the interpretation center that they didn't have chiefs. The Beothuk
No.
didn't have chiefs. They would listen to people that were more experienced and elders, obviously,
Yes.
because they would have more experience. But they shared, like you were saying, and they really listened. They basically whoever had the most information, or the
because
most
one person
experience.
might have more knowledge in one area,
Yeah,
and another in
exactly.
another area. Some might be really good at the hunting, and somebody might be more have more knowledge about the drying of the meats, and they would gather their knowledge from the source that they
Yeah.
found would be the best help
Yeah.
to them, right?
Which only makes sense in
Yes,
any
yes.
society, doesn't it?
So they just didn't
Yeah.
have one person that you listened to. They were,
Right. Very
Yeah.
smart.
and they definitely travelled around in families and looked
Yeah.
after each other. So.
And they made all of their own tools, like from, I
They
guess,
did.
bone. Most of it would be from bone
A lot
and
of it
rock.
was from bone, yeah. Yes, and the rocks. And then when they did get a bit of metal from the fishermen, they did start to make spearheads and that from the metal.
Wow. Hmm.
When they took things, I suppose. Yeah.
Very, very interesting. So,
Yeah.
what would have been the time span, do you think, from the, do they have a record of, say, when the Beothuks first
No, I
appeared
think
here?
the first time they were seen was in 1786. It was the first time. Well, they went looking for them.
Mhm.
because they'd seen traces of them. They'd seen the houses, they'd seen the camps,
Right.
but they hadn't seen the people.
Okay.
So I think they were quite good at keeping themselves away, right?
Yeah, I would say.
But and then sort of like the last then was in 1811. Or 1828 was when Jim Fidler died.
Okay. So that's very interesting. So this area here is open to visitors to come.
It is, yes. They can come and visit.
Mm-hmm.
We do have a small interpretation centre at the moment, but we are in the process of getting storyboards done up so that the site will be you'll be able to do your own self-guided tour of our site.
Okay.
So that means that we can be open then from sort of the beginning of June through till the middle of October,
Yeah.
because we won't need to have people here to
Right.
open it up and close it
Yeah.
up.
And you should come here because it is heaven here, isn't it?
It's
I mean,
beautiful.
it is so, and it's so untouched. There's nobody here. We came down here and there's not a soul here.
No.
And this is the 1st of June.
Yes.
And we took a walk back in the woods there and saw the Mammotiques and went inside, and you can check that out.
It's a great spot. Great spot.
And you can have a fire on the beach too, which I think we're going to do tonight.
Yeah, excellent.
Oh, sorry. Didn't see Roseanne, did you?
She's over that way, I think.
Oh, she's going that way.
Hi.
Change the world. Can you make a difference? Can you change the world? Can you make a difference? We know no victory when we play the game.
I'm back with Teresa Greene, and we're going to move on to, this is the history of, I guess, the beginnings of what we know.
The community of Millitown.
Yeah. We're going to, because a lot happened here after, the Beothics. And
that's right, yeah.
What went on?
So in 1899, Lewis Miller, who is a lumber merchant from Creeth in Scotland, he sent over a party to see if there was good pine over here. He'd heard there was pine trees, a lot of pine trees around this area. So his workers came in and had a look, and they gave a good report back to Mr. Lewis Miller. So he came over here in 1900 to set up sawmills. And he also put in an 18-mile branch railway line, and it was built from the main line at Millertown Junction to the site of the community of Millertown. And in June of that year, the first sod was turned on the first tree was cut in Millertown to start the town of Millertown. So we're over 100 years old here. Yeah. And the church was built in 1901, and is still standing today. So that's the original church, although there have been, changes made to it.
Yeah.
But that's exactly where he built it. And he brought a number of Swedish people with him, and there are 2 Swedish workers that are buried up in our cemetery, and so we have that connection.
Yeah.
And also in 1901, they opened a one-room school, and that was built by Lewis Miller's men. So he really got started. But the town looked very different because the lake kind of finished here on Indian Point and went into the river. And well, not really here, but a bit further down. But the company built I'm sorry, I'm getting confused now. All right, stick to me timeline. In 1902, the men who were hired by Lewis Miller, they signed a contract, and they agreed to pay 10 cents a month for school fees to cover the cost of the children being in school, and 30 cents a month for doctors. So the doctor was resident here and had services for them. And they received in wages $1.25 a day. And I think he was one of the first people in Newfoundland who paid a wage, because most of it was done on the barter system before,
Right,
you would get paid, you would just be kept on a book by the merchant, and
right.
You would have to pay what you owed at the end of the season. But he did actually pay them $1.25 a day, and so that's an interesting part. But then in 1903, Lewis Miller left, and he didn't find the right kind of pine here for what he was needing. So he sold out to Harry J. Crow and W.D. Reed. And but they didn't last long. In 1905, they sold to the Harmsworth Incorporated, and they were the A&D company, the Anglo Newfoundland Development Company Limited. So, and they stayed a nice long time. But in 1908, Hugh Cole, who was part of the A&D company, brought in a herd of reindeer to Millertown.
Oh my goodness.
So that was unusual for Newfoundland, to be used by the A&D company as a source of food for the men in the lumber camps, and also to be used to haul wood. But I don't think it worked very well for the hauling the wood. And anyway, I don't think they lasted too long at all.
Didn't like the
I don't
climate,
think they liked
probably.
the climate, no.
It's very cold here in the winter.
Definitely. Yeah. And in 1910, the first Royal Stores was opened in Millertown. And it was converted from a part of Lewis Miller's old mill, and on the right side of the steam engine, which if you come to Millertown you will see the wheel from the old engine, which is still there on the shores. And the houses that had been down in the by the lakeside were moved further up into the town, into the town as it is now, because when they put the dam in on the A&D company, they put a dam to change the water flow, and the Harmsworth brothers needed that water for their mill in Grand Falls, and so they changed the whole water flow here, and so the places where the town was is now underwater.
Yeah. Well, I remember being here a few years back and the water was really low.
Yes, in the summer the water does
Yeah.
usually go low. Yeah.
And we used to go down and we would find old things.
Yeah,
like
and
the
you can
old bottles
often
and
see
stuff.
foundations of houses and
Yeah.
that in when the
It's
lake goes
incredible.
down.
Yeah,
It's quite interesting
It
to see what
is.
you can find.
for sure.
Yeah. So they hold it up. They hold them up further inland, so that we wouldn't be too close to the water.
Yeah.
But
good
now the
idea.
water is is way up over the old town site. In 1921, there was a large forest fire in the lumber woods in Millertown area. Came dangerously close to destroying the town, but it didn't do that because we're still here, alive and kicking. And in 1931, we built our new town hall, and then they started looking for different kinds. They started prospecting around here and looking for different minerals in the ground, and that is where our strength is at the moment now.
Yeah.
There's a lot of mining companies up here.
And
So-
what do they mine here?
They're mining zinc and copper.
Zinc and copper.
Well, I think they take a bit of gold, not very much gold,
yeah.
but I think you have to. I mean, it's good to have the employment and it's good to have prosperity, but you have to watch your environment too.
Yeah.
You want to try and have safeguards there for
Yeah,
that.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can go back if you go back in the woods here. Like we're right on the boundary of Millertown, sort of. We're not very far from the town itself.
No.
But if you go further back, you can go for hundreds of miles.
Hundreds of miles. You can go right across. Well, if you take this road that we turned down to come to Indian Point today, you can drive right across country and come out on the Burgeo Highway.
Wow, and that's
And
on
then you can
the
go down
west
to
coast
Burgeo.
of
That's on the
Newfoundland.
west coast of Newfoundland.
And
the
we're
other
right in the center of the island.
Yeah, near Corner Brook, the turnoff is, I think.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
And you see, we went back there a couple of days ago fishing.
Yeah.
And there's all kinds of little shacks and
Yeah.
you people love it up there.
There's
'cause
an
little
awful lot of
lakes
cabins
everywhere.
up there, hundreds of
Yeah.
cabins.
You never
Yeah.
know what you're going to find up there.
No.
And, you can see all kinds of animals, moose, and
Yeah.
we saw 4 rabbits.
Did
when we
you?
were driving by. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I quite often see, Kevin, my husband always asks me, what did you see today? Have you seen any bears yet? They should be
Yeah.
out,
I know. It's like
Yeah.
you never know what you're going to see.
No,
It's really incredible and beautiful. Absolutely
Yeah.
gorgeous part of the island.
it is. I really like it here. Yeah.
So I
I think I came from the coast.
where did you come from?
Oh, originally I came from Manchester in England.
Right.
And then I moved to Fogo Island, which is on the northeast coast, and northeast. And I lived there for 25 years in Tilting, in the community of Tilting, and I married a fisherman from Tilting. And then we moved here about 7 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah, but I really love this area. It's beautiful.
Yeah. Do you think you'll take root here?
I think
stay?
so, yes.
Yeah.
As far as I route anywhere. A bit of a nomad. Yeah.
Well, I want to thank you very much for giving me your time. And the listeners, I'm sure, are going to really appreciate this. And I'm hoping that you are appreciating this right now. So thanks. And we'll be back. Maybe
Excellent.
we'll come back for Millertown Days.
Oh, that would be fabulous.
Jim will come with me.
Excellent.
Yeah, and maybe you'll get to meet him. And,
Excellent.
have
That'd be
another
really
chat.
good. Yeah. Maybe. Talk
Thank
to the
you.
mayor next time.
Yeah, okay. That's right. Your husband is the mayor. Yes. Okay.
That's the only reason I'd say.
Stay tuned.
You're listening
Yeah, like all the time I'm listening.
to the station that swings.
This station really swings me.
The swinging us sounds and music.
Ooh, swingin'est, ringin'est.
It's the station that swings.
Ooh, like this station's really got me in orbit.
Republic of Avalon Radio.
Radio for lazy people who don't want to do nothing.
You're with the roar. Got to get up and moving on. So mash it up. Oh, my children, mash it up.
All right. That is Mash It Up from my new record, which I can say is finally done. And going to be released, at least tentatively. We don't know. You never know. Things pop up, things happen. But we're looking at a release date of August the 6th. So be there for that. Anybody thinking about coming here, that's a good time to be here. Because we have all kinds of things going on. We have, that week is the George Street Festival. This one weekend. That finishes on the Tuesday evening. Then Wednesday, the very next day, is Regatta Day in St. John's, the oldest sporting event in North America. Thursday is the 6th. That would be the day of the launch. And Friday is the kickoff for the folk festival. So, and that goes through Sunday. So, if anybody wanted to come to Newfoundland for a week to 10 days, that's also the most reliable time for the weather. So, you can just count on amazing weather, probably far better than where you'd be coming from. Probably a lot more tolerable. Temperatures more like 75 to 85, and reasonable humidity and a nice little breeze, and the ocean and the whales and the seabirds and the land birds and all kinds of birds, right?
Birds.
Yes. Bird's the word. Yes. So there we have it. So that was Mash It Up that you were just hearing as we were leaving. And it's a song I wrote not that long ago, actually. Don't think it was very long after I started the record. It was, a little while after I started. I think I had some tracks down for Reality Time, and then I came up with this Mash It Up thing one day, sitting in the living room with my guitar. I started playing a particular Bob Marley song, and for some reason I decided to take one finger off, and instead of playing it in a major key, I started playing it in a minor key, which led me to start singing, and I started singing Mash It Up. I don't think I had all the lyrics at the time. Almost. I think I had 2 verses. And then I wrote the third one, days later. But, it just came to me just like that. And it's one of them things where I guess if anybody who would be extremely in the know might find a similarity, it's definitely influenced by a particular Bob Marley song, and but no, by no means is it some sort of copyright thing or anything like that. It's more like somebody hearing a sea shanty and writing another sea shanty, something like that. Maybe somebody hearing a sea shanty that sounded rather happy in a major key and deciding to write a similar type sea shanty that might involve a captain and a ship and heave and hoe and Holloway Joe and all that kind of stuff, but maybe it's in a minor key and it's different and all the lyrics are totally different. So it's sort of like that. And it's interesting. I think it's really interesting that whole thing where like one song can lead to another. You can hear a song. You hear that from a lot of people. Who was it I heard that about quite recently? Somebody or other. It was like Joni Mitchell or somebody was in a taxi and this song came on the radio, and they just, from hearing that song, basically as soon as they got home, wrote some other song. And there were certainly, if you listen to the 2 songs together, they're companions, but by no means did Joni Mitchell or whoever this person was rip the other person off or anything. So there you have it. But it's kind of like a nice little tip of the cap too. It's a kind of a respectful thing, really. So, anyway, Mash It Up is done. The whole album is done. The album, as it all turns out, is called Revolution Time. It was called a few other things along the way. But the record is Revolution Time. Kind of not so much talking about suggesting everybody take guns and go and start killing all your town council members or city council members or anything like that. It's like the song that I wrote a long time ago, Rising of the Moon. It's more of a call to eyes than a call to arms. The idea being, things go in cycles. And when you think about it, the time system that we're on, just something I noticed a long time ago, this business about linear time. We kind of have this idea put upon us that time is linear. That, there's kind of a beginning, a big bang, and then everything just kind of goes out in one direction forever and ever. And it's just a straight line, and there's past, and then here we are now in the present, and we're just all moving into the future, and that's all there is to it. Okay, let me just leave that bit alone for the moment, because, well, whatever. Maybe so. I don't know. Who am I? I get a great kick out of people who know things. They know that there's no life after death, and that there's no God, or they know that there is, and God has a beard and he lives on a cloud or something. For anyone to know, or to know with certainty one or the other, I think perhaps there's room for some further exploration on their parts, I think. I'm not talking about the idea of, say, a Christian, for example, who accepts Christ as Lord and Savior. Not so much that, but all the other stuff, all the political, social, prejudicial, war-justifying things that separate people and put people in the boxes and all that kind of stuff. What was my point again? What was I talking about?
I think you were talking about linear time.
Linear time, yeah. Well, when you look all around us, the evidence is overwhelming, I think. That time is not linear. It's revolutionary. It's circular. In fact, if you have a watch on your arm as you're listening, just look at the face of the watch. If time were linear, your watch would run the length of your arm and go on forever. So you say, well, perhaps this is just shortening it so we can keep track of it. No. That thing on your arm is the shape it is, and the thing on the wall is the shape it is, because it's actually denoting one revolution of the Earth, one turn of the planet, which takes, roughly 24 hours. And why they have it down into a 12-hour clock is beyond me. I think the clock should have... Perhaps they didn't have perhaps the mechanism would have been too complicated to make, all the cogs and everything for a 24-hour clock. I don't know. But it would be interesting to have a 24-hour clock. And I think we're about to invent one, just for you guys. Perhaps. This is the final days of the album. We're sending it off on Monday. This is Friday night. So we're just finishing off the sort of layout and the inside panels and the lyrics and the liner notes and dedications and all these things and the graphics. And there's going to be some pretty interesting graphics for you folks. It's going to be a very nice package. But one of the parts of the whole layout might involve a 24-hour clock. So there you have it.
It's out of the bag.
Cat's out of the bag. Rare. Yes. So I mean, as it is now, you have a watch or a clock taking 24 hours, and it's following it. It has to make two passes, which is kind of skishy when you think about it.
It is really.
Why not just put 24 hours? Like put 0 on the top, then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 12 is right at the bottom. Then 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, which would be up, not where 11 is, but, up in that area.
If you were living somewhere that was dark 24 hours a day,
Yeah.
then it would be easier to tell time.
Or light 24 hours a day.
Like 24 hours a day. Yeah.
Or light 8 hours a day. Or light 14 hours a day. The point is, the time is the time. Whether it's light or dark, it's supposed to be, 1,400 hours or 1,600 hours. Not 2 p.m. or 4 p.m. a.m. and p.m. Just serves no purpose. It's just extra baggage. It's extra baggage, folks. It means we got to run around that clock twice every day. 2 laps around the clock every day. It's exhausting. And it's annoying too.
I got an idea for the cover now.
What?
You running on the face of a clock.
Yes. That'd be all right. No, she just let the kid out of the bag. She obviously doesn't have an idea for the cover yet.
I do, really, I do.
She's working on it.
We had it down pat.
We had it down. I'll tell you.
Complication.
Yeah, we had complication. I'll tell you the complication. A greedy little SOB in Japan, artiste sort of person, who in my opinion really didn't do anything all that brilliant.
I think he's a psychologist.
Oh, no doubt. Yeah, great. Anyway, he created an image. And I mean, anybody can create these images. It's based on a principle. I won't get into the details because I want you guys to see this stuff first. But it's a principle. Just as simple as the principle of, positive multiplication or
the principle of watchmaking. Like all watches and clocks.
Can one person put a
same
copyright
principle.
on, yeah.
But they all look a bit different depending on who the clockmaker is.
But the concept that the cogs have to be certain sizes and there have to be a certain number of them in relation to each other, all the wheels and the gears, in order for that thing to turn those hands one rotation as accurately as possible over a 24-hour period.
Yeah!
Okay, we just got ran over by a truck, folks. Now we are speaking to you from the first show, the episode of The Roar from the afterlife. We're bugger clocks anyway.
We don't need clocks here.
We don't need clocks. Especially ones we got to run around twice every day.
I don't have a watch.
She doesn't have a watch, folks. She does have a watch, but she refuses to wear it.
I don't have a watch.
You have a watch.
I do not.
Dude, you've had a watch for ages, and I've seen it beating
Where?
around. I've seen it beating around on top of the fridge. I've seen it beating around up on top of the...
They don't work. I never had my watch.
What now? Whether you go and get it fixed or
lose
not
them or
has
they-
nothing to do with the fact that you don't have one.
I've never had a good watch. I think that's it. And you're not allowed to give me a watch.
No, I can't give her a watch. I've made the mistake as a youth of giving girls I was fond of timepieces, and the time on those relationships ran out rather quickly.
It was like time's up.
Time's up, yeah.
There's some kind of inner sort of...
Indeed.
I hate watches.
Yes. Especially night watches.
I don't like the sound of the tick, tick.
Well, mine doesn't go like that.
No, I know it's yours. I know it's yours. Did I say that?
Oh, you thought, I think you did. Anyway. No, that's right. I have a Tissot. Will you relax? I scuffed my foot on the
Oh, I
ground.
thought you were going to trip yourself up.
When was the last time I tripped myself up?
Well, you never have.
How about
Not-
never?
Not really. No.
No.
But there's always that first time.
I suppose. Anyway, we'll not worry about that. So back.
That's what I'm looking for there.
What?
Rope.
What?
I had an idea as I was walking down here,
Yes.
and it involved rope,
Okay.
like the cylindric thing, and also the design in rope.
Okay. When are you going to get this rope?
When?
Yes.
I don't need to get it, I don't think, but I could.
Okay.
Because,
It's way over my
maybe it
head.
would be better.
Yes, it's all way over my head. I'll put my crowbar away and stop prying the lid off your jar of secrets.
Okay.
Jeez Louise.
All right.
So I was talking about linear time.
Yes.
Yes, there's a line in one of the songs on the record, Cherokee Chant, that says, "The world you live in is in your mind. Don't let them tell you about their linear time. The wise shall be foolish and the foolish wise. Tell your brothers that it's time to rise." So, yeah, rise as in wake up, get up, that kind of thing. Not rise as in I'm suggesting that the Cherokee Nation should rise up and overthrow the U.S. government or anything like that. I have to say these things in advance because you hear all these stories, and many of them are true, about people writing a book or putting out a record or something. And next thing, there's these weird guys in black following them around and stuff like that. And I don't want that. I don't like those guys in black. Black guys, yeah, but guys in black who aren't black, they're just trying to look black or something.
Black guys in white.
Black guys in white, I don't know. Well, yeah, them too. They're fine. But no, it's the white guys in black that, either they're on a Johnny Cash kick or I don't know. Anyway, so I just don't want it to be misunderstood, especially having gone through the whole 9/11 situation and being in the process of making a record with a friend of mine from Morocco who's Arabic and Muslim and all this, and them having to get on airplanes to get here to make the record with me, the Mosaic record, which is available on our website, JimFidler.com. All right. All that stuff. I've been there. I've experienced that. And all the furor, all the stuff on the television. And that was back when we still had a television.
Yes.
It's another recommendation, folks.
You had to pry me away from the television, didn't you? 2
Yes.
years ago.
Yes. Yeah, the last going off, every now and again I would kind of catch her polluting herself with this television thing, and I'd say, "Hey, what are you doing?" And she'd kind of go, and then finally she pried herself away. I didn't have to pry her away. And do you regret it?
No, not in the slightest.
And why is that? Don't you miss your
No, I do
soap
not.
operas and
I never watched soap
your news
operas anyway.
programs and your Discovery Channel, where you learn about how we're no better than animals and we watch animals copulating and stuff like that? Don't you miss all that? They tell you how Columbus discovered America, and they go on about Michael Jackson 28 hours a day. Don't you miss all
I
that?
saw television today, and I haven't seen anything to do with Michael Jackson, thank heavens. Because I know people have been bombarded with it, but for the first time today, and this is like, how long ago was it? At least a week.
Some bit more. No, it's a couple of weeks.
Anyway, still like blasting on the television, these images of him and images of a doctor giving needles and...
It's all a big distraction, folks. Really, seriously. I'm not even kidding. It's all a huge, huge distraction. Go look up... I quoted in the liner notes of the record, actually. Go do a Google search for bread and circuses and see what you come up with. Yeah.
Do it.
Maybe that should be a good thing. Maybe that's what we can do from now on when we make records with potentially controversial song lyrics and stuff. Instead of saying anything in our songs, we'll just all sing Google it. Google it. Just we'll say Google it. And then people can go Google it and we won't have to say it.
That wouldn't have been a bad name for the album, Bread and Circuses.
Bread and circuses. Maybe.
I had a dream that I
Stop
went
it.
to a circus the other night, remember?
Yes.
And I'm doing
I remember, I was there. I was in the dream.
I'm actually doing some work for a circus right now too.
So am
all
I.
kinds of circus things going on.
So am I.
So are you, yeah. We both are.
Yes, both of us.
And we're not in the circus, we're just kind of outside the circus looking in.
We are a circus. Let's face it, folks. Yes. That was very, very melodically accurately reproduced.
I'm sure.
Name that tune.
It's a good thing one of us can carry a note.
Yes. It's all right sometimes. Except for when you're trying to relax and people say, "You getting up sing a song or what?" And I'm like, hell no.
Yeah.
I got my civvies on. I got my civvies on tonight. No one's paying me to get up and sing for a bunch of drunk people tonight. Because I'm one of them.
That's right.
Anyway.
You can't entertain people like yourself.
You can't do both things at the same time.
No.
Certainly not.
People ask you sometimes, are you playing tonight? And you'll say...
I'll say yes. I'm not working.
Exactly.
That's my line. That's what I lay. That's what I whip out and lay on them.
I like that line. We're being what do you call that?
Caught up to?
Yeah.
We're in pre-dinker dinker mode?
I think so.
Okay.
But we're almost to the light now, so
Okay.
go towards the light.
Go towards the light. Oh boy. That's a funny thing that occurred to me. It's funny in a way, but it's kind of sick in a way too. Because alright. I won't pull any punches, I'll just let it go.
Alright.
Out with it. As we may know, we've all heard tell of this character called Lucifer, who's not a very nice guy.
Let's just pull over here for a second.
Okay. Who's not a very nice guy. And pretty much, I think anybody who's ever heard tell of this character, whether they're a believer or not, is aware of sort of the reputation and the overall profile. And it's not good. Well, if we look at the name of this character, it literally means farrier of light. The light, the bringer of light, the light bearer, whatever. So, bear with me. If there's anybody starting to get uncomfortable, okay, please bear with me.
Fidget in your chair.
Don't fidget in your chair, no. We've all heard tell of, when we die, the whole idea of seeing and being drawn toward, and I guess not resisting, a light. Now, I would imagine, from what I hear about this character, he would be the type of character who would probably hang around. Yes. Who would probably hang around in such a place where poor unwitting, unsuspecting souls would be emerging into the afterlife, and he would attract them. He would attempt to attract them with his light, being the bearer of light,
like moths to
the farrier of light. Yes, like moths to the flame. So the question is, all of us who've been raised on, the lexicon of light being good, I guess at least the good light is good. How are we to know that light is good? What if that's the last thing in the world, I was going to say. Maybe the last thing out of this world that we should be doing is following that light. So that's a disturbing thought for you folks. Should you or should you not follow that light? I don't know. It's perplexing. But if you resist the light and you're just kind of left sort of with your hands in your pockets, kind of wondering where to go and what to do, you see a hot air balloon coming over the horizon with hanging below it a rather large handbasket full of people, then you might want to give the light a second shot, because those people are just going to hell in a handbasket.
Somebody last night, you were talking about that, and somebody said that they weren't going to get in that basket unless their friends were in it.
Yeah, but see, I know there's going to be some other people in there too, like, you know,
Well, they said if Jimi Hendrix was in it, they'd get it.
Hitler and Mussolini and, you know, Ronald McDonald and people like that, and Walt Disney and all these kinds of people.
Walt Disney?
Yeah, he was evil.
Really?
Oh,
How
yeah.
could he be so evil and make all those wonderful cartoons and voices?
Well,
and stuff?
I don't know. You just have to marvel at their brilliance of how evil people just go for the children.
I guess.
It's unfortunate, but there it is, folks.
It's true.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not all evil people.
Who?
Not all evil people, though.
All evil people are.
Are evil, yeah. I agree.
And let's stop pussyfooting around. How many of us are brainwashed into this thing where, oh well, I don't want to be judgmental. Go ahead, be judgmental. You know, if someone's going to be raping children or something, then go ahead, be judgmental.
I know, because, well, that happened during the
whole
brotherhood.
yeah,
the priests.
the Christian brothers and the priests and
all
families
the-
got
all
tore
the,
up because basically people wouldn't support each other. People were in more of a hurry to support some priest than they were to stand by their own family.
A
You
lot
know,
of them stood by the church because that's all they knew.
that's their brainwashing. Yep.
That was God, you know.
Yeah, like the church is the same as like that building with a little point on the top is the same thing as God.
Yeah.
And folks, it's not.
No, it's not.
It is not.
And there's no lightning going to come down and strike us right now. I don't.
No, there's no lightning coming down at all, because we're saying that. You know, see, you can realize that even on a philosophical, intellectual level. Let's say you don't believe in anything. Well, there's no such thing, of course. You people who think you don't believe in anything, that in and of itself is a belief system. But what I'm saying is, even if you're convinced that you're as inert as a rock, and that's all there is to it, I think you could still realize that this building with a point on the top is not the same thing as this thing that you don't believe in that everybody goes on about, that is all-knowing and conscious and love and all these things. That would be, you could make the separation, I would say. So, anyway, what a heavily controversial episode of Aurora this is.
Isn't it though?
I tell you, we're not pulling any punches here.
I think we got primed a bit by Frank Nora. You know,
Maybe a little bit.
just a wee bit, not a lot, but
I just think everything going on the last while has kind of primed me a little bit.
Yeah.
And
I think too, like your album is a lot. It's thought provoking, and you know, you started out talking about that, so
yeah,
it's just.
I reckon.
I reckon.
I like them biscuits. Yes, indeed. So linear time is just not very plausible. That's the thing. Just not very plausible. So, in fact, even the big bangers are, many of them, talking about the big suck. That eventually everything is going to expand out, and then kind of come to a stop. Sort of like the sun, you know, from the 22nd to the 25th of December. And then just kind of start sucking back inward again, and then there'll be the big suck, where everything will go back into. And then, at some point, when it feels ready, maybe an instant thereafter, go big bang again. Bang, suck, bang, suck. I don't know. That's what some of them seem to think is likely anyway. Another thing that I find, for anyone to believe with any great certainty, kind of flaky. Because, you know, science is just as susceptible as any other ideas that humans can conjure up into their very small brains. And nothing is sacred. Only the big truth, whatever that is.
Well, I assume that when we go to...
And some of us are seeking that, and some of us aren't. Whatever it is. Some of us get stuck in little cul-de-sacs of philosophy or a particular man-made religion of some kind. And we all know the signs of that, don't we, folks? The signs are very obvious. Very insular behavior, a general sort of superiority complex, a kind of a my way or the highway, and the ultimate one, which I find fascinating, that there's a heaven, they're going to it, and you're not, and nobody else is, except for just them and their few friends. That's quite fascinating. That's, I don't know, it's kind of a very twisted fairy tale. It's not very helpful to anybody, because life is way too precious, as it is, in this lifetime even. And whatever life there is afterward, which I think there's all kinds of evidence for. The stuff...
Maybe parallel universes.
Oh, there may be. But that might be just science, just having fun. Maybe they did. Maybe it's like what they said in the 50s is true. Or actually, no. The guy at the patent office, the U.S. Patent Office, at some point in 1882 or something, actually said that basically it was pretty much useless after that because everything had already been invented and discovered.
That's crazy.
Well, now maybe he was right. Maybe everything after that is entirely superfluous. Maybe everything of any practical use had been discovered, and the rest of it is all just, part of the bread and circuses. It's all just, like I think humanity could probably live without the iPhone or the boom box or many other things. Superfluous items of whatever you want to call that. Anyway, I've got my tongue planted firmly in cheek here, folks, as you may be able to tell. So, what I'm serious about and what I'm kidding about, you may be completely wrong about what you think I'm talking about. But then again, you may be dead on. And the ones who are dead on. And the ones who aren't, well, just don't send me nasty letters and say, hey, how can you say that everything was invented in the 1880s? Well, it wasn't me that said it in the first place. I wasn't there, as far as I know.
As far as you know.
Yes. Could have been there.
Could have been there.
Wearing a pork pie hat.
You could have been.
And
Sure.
smoking a pipe.
Pipe. The corn cob pipe.
And a button nose. And 2 eyes made out of coal.
We're getting very close.
Okay. All right, so let's wrap this up here. All our babbling about time was just a way for us to pass the time as we strode in a linear direction.
I made it funny today that I didn't realize I was in this clock. It was a clock shop, like a guy that.
Were you? Were you down at the clock shop?
I was, and the place is called Grand Time, and I was in there taking pictures of
Were you
clocks.
having a grand time?
I was, well, yeah, kind of.
Okay.
I was taking pictures of clocks for potential material for the album cover.
Uh-huh.
And when I left, I said, without even thinking about it, I said, thanks very much for your time. And I didn't even realize it.
She's a funny bunny, folks. Uh-huh.
You gotta like those spontaneous things.
Mm-hmm. So anyway, what I'm saying is, for everybody who's listening, for all you atheists, for example, come on, guys, lighten up. And for all you anything else's, Christians or Muslims or Jews or Buddhists or anything. Just be careful and realize that whatever God that you're believing in, we're all the children of that God. And let's have a little bit more love for each other. And I'm not talking about some kind of, hugga-mugga one world religion or anything like that. I'm saying, keep your culture, keep who you are. Realize realize the bits that are your culture. Realize the bits that are your family. Realize the bits that are your the part of your culture you might call a religion that has rituals and habitual things that you do to acknowledge certain things and make note of certain things that have happened in the history of your people and things like that, because that's all a part of you. But at the same time, let's let everybody else be who they are, and let's try to have a bit of respect for each other, not this toleration nonsense. I have no toleration for tolerance. It's just tolerance. If the best we can do is just go out and tolerate each other, then the heck with it. We might as well just push the big button now and blow the place to high heavens and get it over with.
That's not much fun, is it?
No, going around tolerant. It's like people in cities who just can't even smile or say nod at each other or smile or wink or say hello. If you're going to live your whole life like that, what the heck's the point?
You got to realize that everybody else is feeling person just like you are.
Yes, everybody else is sad, everybody else is happy, everybody else loves and loses and sleeps and works and plays and everything. So anyway, I don't mean to get preachy, folks, but that's what I'm saying. And all this preachy stuff, the only way to possibly respond to it, I guess, it might have a similar shape to what I'm actually talking about. Just saying, love each other. Take your time. Relapse. That's the thing. So, but that isn't even my closing word. My closing word was going to be the whole idea of the record and time. The time that we observe is not linear. The time that we follow every day on our clocks and our watches and all this stuff, the clocks and watches, that's revolution time. That's the time that goes around and back. Comes right around, passes through a point, and carries on. It's just like the whole astrological, the movement in the heavens. It's the exact same thing. And boy, there's a whole lot of religious mumbo jumbo attached to all that stuff too, isn't there?
Oh yeah, yes, big time.
Big time. We won't go there this time.
Not this time.
This time. Oh. I'm being kissed from behind.
It's just me. It wasn't me that kissed you. It was this big ugly dude. I don't know who he is, Jim.
Well, on that note, folks, we hope you've enjoyed you've enjoyed your little stroll with us.
Jim is journey back.
Right on. Come out.
I'm just kidding, Jay.
Hope you've enjoyed your little stroll with us, and
Me.
hope we haven't. I ain't heavy. I'm your brother. So
I certainly
take her easy, folks,
for you.
and we'll catch you on the other side. You are listening to Republic of Avalon Radio. Over.
Very interesting.
And God bless you for that.
a Root Cellar production.